Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament with Rabbi Stuart, the man Federow from the Big H, Houston, Texas. Welcome back. Don't smoke crack, Rabbi Federow. It's one of those things, Rabbi. It just
spills out. You can't stop yourself.
I tried, but then it just sort of.
People are going to hear you. They're going to think I smoke crack.
It was.
You keep telling me not to.
It was like a hiccup. Sometimes you can't hold back the hiccups. I'm just saying. Rabbi, it's good to see you again. Man, I can't wait to
see you. It's been months.
You know, ironically enough,
it's either I've been sick, or they're building electrical equipment near your house.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you're the only rabbi that has been teasing me with your presence here off and on for the past 6 years.
2 months?
No, you haven't been here in 2 months. But
right.
For the past several years, you've been coming here quite often. So I tend to miss you more because I'm used to seeing you on site.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's true. You should.
Yeah. I should be missing you. You're right about that. Very good, very good. Okay, I'm just going to go on to YouTube. Rabbi, are you on the YouTube channel?
Actually, I didn't make it that far.
Okay, I want to make sure. Yep, we're live.
I was actually looking for some files I had emailed to myself to save on my email account, and the folders are totally empty.
Hey, Devin, so, Raymond, we were just talking about you, brother. I love the shirt, man. I don't get to wear it as often as I like to, but I love the shirt, bro. Thank you for that, man. And then Michael, Yasmin, Jeffrey. Yosef, I'm trying to read your Yosef ben Yosef. Oh, that's cool. You're Yosef number 2. That's cool. Nice. Andrea, good to see you, girl. Very good. Very good. Awesome.
My God, if you look for
Janice
one
Hart,
thing and then all of a sudden that's all they give you.
What are you looking for?
A couple days ago, I was looking for something on YouTube that was a musical.
Okay, so
all of a sudden
Rabbi,
it's giving me every musical there is.
I've got to change
except Tanakh Talk.
I've got to change the mode and the Rabbi.
Yes.
I've got to change the mode and the feeling right now. Speaking of this whole melody thing, there's so many people who haven't seen your finger dance in a long time. Show us that finger dance. Come on, do it. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Now you guys got the full Monty. Welcome to Tanakh Talk. All right. Very cool. All right. So can I help you find it? Is it something you want me to help you locate? Apparently not. Okay. We're good with
Apparently
that.
not what? I didn't hear you.
I said, is there something you want me to help you try to locate?
No.
Okay.
Nah.
Okay, so listen. So guys, while Rabbi looks up his thing, so tonight's topic, it was a spur of the moment. It was a question I asked him, and I was kind of curious of his answer, and he began to explain it to me.
Like my answer.
He began to explain it to me, but I asked him to stop because I wanted to be surprised by his. So it might be short, it might be long, but it's definitely the first topic we're going to cover. So if we can stumble on to, and I'll keep an eye on the chat, if we stumble on to another topic based on the questions. The question or the answers given, then we'll domino off onto that. So if you guys want to, if you want to put your questions in the chat, I'll try to keep my eye on it as best I can. Okay. Very good. Raymond, thank you, brother. I totally feel you. Thank you for that. It's awesome. All right, Michael Purdue, good to see you. Alan Edwards, very cool, man. Good to see you guys. Okay, so the topic for tonight is: was Jesus mentioned in the Talmud? That's the first question. It may only take 5 minutes to answer it, but if it does, then we'll domino off onto something else. So, personally, I've heard, and Rabbi, you can definitely steer me in the right direction. I've heard at least one anyway, a mention of a Jesus or Yeshua figure mentioned in the Talmud. But from my recollection, from what I heard, the characteristics of the person they mentioned in that section of the Talmud itself didn't seem to be. It didn't seem like it was the same character that the New Testament mentions. That's all I've got.
Your question is Jesus mentioned in the Talmud? And my answer is clearly Jesus is mentioned in the Talmud. It's just not the Jesus of Christianity.
Gotcha. So Jesus of.
How'd you going?
No, that was great. That was great though. So like for example, somebody asked me one time, says, well, you can't tell me that Catholicism isn't real. I mean that the name Mary is so predominant. I'm like every third woman is named Mary. So in that same commonality, now of course that was a very exaggerated number.
Are you
But
familiar with the song Mary's Prayer?
no.
It's a very, very Catholic song as far as that goes, but it's a gorgeous song. It was probably top 40 in the 1980s, maybe 1990s, when I was Mary's Prayer.
Really?
Oh yeah, brilliant, beautiful.
Honestly,
song.
I might know the song, but maybe the title is misleading me. Mary,
yeah,
did you
too.
know that your baby boy would someday walk on water? Is that the one?
No.
What is that one? That's the one I was thinking of. Hey, speaking of which, let me tell you this. This is very interesting. So there was this lady. Can you take me off camera somehow? Because I don't want them to see my face. So there was this lady who was praying in church, and she was it was like empty. The place was completely empty, and she was praying, and while she was praying, she heard this voice. It says, and this lady's name was whatever, Josephine. Who? Sonia. This lady's name was Sonia. Okay. And so she heard his voice as she was praying. She heard his voice from up on the cathedral area. Says Sonia, and she's like, "Shh, I'm praying." And she began to pray. She continued to pray, and then she heard the voice again. It says, "Sonia," and she's like, "Shh, I'm praying." And he goes, "Sonia, this is Jesus." She goes, "Be quiet. I'm talking to your mother." Okay, let's go ahead and move forward so that there's no hate mail that comes off of this, because I understand that. Thought that was really not nice. Were you even listening, Rabbi?
Yes.
That wasn't funny? Dang. I thought that was a funny one. Okay.
Oh, it was hysterical. Okay, fine. I didn't exactly hear you because I was looking up Mary's Prayer.
Oh, so I thought you were like, okay.
So if I say, save me, be the light in my eyes.
I've never heard it before.
And if I say 10 Hail Marys, leave a light on in heaven for me.
I've never heard that before at all.
The Mary that I knew. So when you find somebody who gives, think of me and celebrate. I made such a big mistake when I was Mary's Prayer. Most people can't hear the words Mary's Prayer. They think the title is something else.
Right.
But what a great tune.
Wow.
Great song.
Right.
I just thought I'd ask you. That has nothing to do with what. Oh, you mentioned Mary. That's why.
Yeah, it was my fault. I'm bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, starting off with that, was Jesus mentioned in the Talmud, and the commonality of the name Mary, even today amongst the Spanish world, is like you would probably think every 10th or 20th child they name their kid Mary. It's a very common name. Now you did, and maybe this is where this video should go, Rabbi. Maybe when we discuss the Jesus of the Talmud, maybe what we should do is for you, because you're the only rabbi I've ever heard teach on this topic, and that is how Yeshua, the name Yeshua, doesn't really even make sense why they would call him that because of what it actually means.
I want to beat my head against the wall. I think there are 4 or 5 names now.
Oh yeah, Yehoshua.
Yehoshua. Okay.
Yeshua.
Yahshua.
Yeah, Yahshua. Yeshu. Right. There's so many variations. I think it's
Yeshu.
Yeshu.
Like I said, I want to beat my head against the wall.
Okay,
first let's deal with the Talmud.
Okay, let's go there.
Okay.
All right, go for it.
The Talmud is made up of Mishnah plus Gemara. Mishnah plus Gemara equals Talmud.
Right.
But the Talmud is a volume, huge.
23 volumes, encyclopedia set, whatever.
No, but each volume could be this big.
Oh, jeez. Okay, right.
I don't know if you can see me. Okay.
Yeah.
Huge. And what we call the volume, what we call a volume of the Talmud, okay, has more than just the Gemara, more than just the Mishnah and the Gemara. Mishnah, give or take, there are people who will argue, roughly 200 BCE to 200 CE, a 400-year period.
Gotcha.
Gemara is roughly 200 CE till some people say 500, some people say 600, some people say as late as 700 CE, which is, depending on which number you pick, so let's say 200 CE to 500 CE is a 300-year period. Some say it is up to 600. The point is that that's the actual Talmud. But in the Talmud, you've got other stuff, around in the volume Okay, like if you look at a page of Talmud, it's got more than just Mishnah Gemara in it.
Right. It's commentary.
Tosefta, which is what I'm talking about. Okay.
Right. Gotcha.
So at the same time, basically, that you had the Mishnah being written, you had other rabbinic literature that didn't make it into the Talmud part. That's in, the other part. I don't know how to word it. Okay.
Sorry.
Let's see. I was just trying to find it here. I know it's here somewhere. Not sure why this is so hard.
You got this. All right. So let's go. While you're looking, if I can get you to multitask, that would be good.
All right. Well, okay. Me multitask. Okay. All right. Anyway, the point is this. Okay.
All right.
There are two Jesuses in the Talmud.
Okay.
Okay. But if Jesus was from the year 0 to 33, give or take, the first Jesus of the this extra material, okay, is about 100 years before that, give or take.
Okay.
And the Jesus described later, okay, is give or take 100 years after Jesus would have been living. So it's not even the right period of time.
Right.
Also, the part of the world it's in, okay, it's supposed to be in Jerusalem. He's supposed to be crucified. He's supposed to have gone to a Roman court. Didn't happen to these two. Okay,
right.
So it is, how do I word this? In part, it's a stretch to say that these people were the Jesus of Christianity.
Right.
Okay, now, but there's a problem with all of this that most people don't understand. Okay. Do you know what modern criticism is?
No.
Okay. Criticism of the Bible. Who wrote it? When was it written? How was it put together? What period of time was it put together? Why were certain books included and not other books included? It's how was what we call Bible constructed? Okay.
Okay.
500 years ago, the question wouldn't even have crossed anybody's mind. Okay. This is the Bible. This is what we have. This is what we deal with. Okay. But modern secular, especially attacking the Hebrew Scriptures, Christian scholarship started doing their scholarly stuff. Okay, you can't keep your job as a professor on a college campus unless you come out with a book people will read called Publish or Die. Okay, you can't justify or rationalize your being an academician. Okay, if you don't come out with something that's interesting to the academic world. So, in my opinion, as a part of the anti-Semitic nature of certain fields, shall we say, college campuses, even in the 1800s, they turned their attention to the construction of the Hebrew Scriptures, and then took insult when people started doing it to the New Testament.
Right.
That's a whole different conversation. But what people don't understand is up until 500 years ago, it wouldn't have crossed anybody's mind to look at anybody's Holy Scripture that way.
Right, right.
Every religion would take every other religion's Holy Scriptures, holy to them, okay? Everybody else would take those Scriptures as face value.
Right.
If somebody's text said, Jesus came into Jerusalem while riding on 2 animals, then the rabbis would have said, well, Jesus must have come into Jerusalem while riding on 2 animals. Right. They would never have criticized, because it wouldn't have occurred to them to criticize texts like that. Okay, they would criticize the content, they would criticize the theology, They would criticize how it compares and contrasts with the Hebrew Scriptures. Okay, they would take a look at the stories, for example, of the Quran and show how it doesn't match with what we were given by God. Okay, but in terms of form, now I always get these two mixed up: form criticism or the other criticism. It wouldn't even cross their minds. So I think what happened is that they want to criticize the New Testament and its stories. Okay, so they took the stories of other Jesuses,
right?
Okay, and basically used that as a model to criticize Christianity's Jesus. So the stories in the Talmud weren't about Jesus, but by discussing these other Jesuses, it throws doubt on the Christian Jesus. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so the
It
Jesuses the Jesuses in the Talmud, okay, aren't Jesus, the Christian Jesus. But I think they were written and made sure to be remembered as a way to make it look like the Jesus of Christianity was just as false as these other Jesuses.
Right.
Okay, so they both wind up getting killed, not by crucifixion, but after they were killed, being hung on a tree. Okay. Now I forgot where they were. Okay, but they weren't in Jerusalem. Okay, they were elsewhere in a different time period, and the description of what happened to them in the Tosefta, I believe, where they're found, is it isn't even remotely close to what we find with the Christian Jesus. But and by the way, there's another which you touched upon, and that's the name of Jesus.
Right.
Okay, it's very complicated. You have to know Hebrew grammar. Okay, you really ought to get your Hebrew teacher for Tanakh Talk to really do a number on this Yeshua business. Okay,
that's a good idea. That's a good
William.
Idea. Yes.
Do you remember? No, I forgot what I was going to say.
You were referring to Gabriel Sanders, the Hebrew teacher,
Right?
And then,
oh yes. Do you remember a conversation that we had on TNT of Tanakh Talk? I don't know how long ago. Okay, about why Judaism doesn't have the pronunciation of the names of God, why we avoid the names, and why we don't even know the proper pronunciation of the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey.
You know.
Okay, and now here's proof that the rabbis were right, that historically Judaism was correct, because in the same way they butcher, okay, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey, and the way they butcher Yeshua, Yahshua, Yehushu, Yehusha, and all the other, whoever knows, whatever they're going to come up with, in the future, okay, shows that they were right in not having a pronunciation for God, so the real name wouldn't get butchered. The real name, if I said, hi, Wilhelmina, no, that's not accurate. If I said...
if you call me Wilhelmina again, I'm going to be offended.
I can't think of... if I call you by the wrong name, you're not going to be happy about it. Right?
It wouldn't be a problem if it was accidental and you only did it once. But once I corrected you and you still called me the wrong name, I would be highly offended.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I can see Sarah.
He can see, but no one else can. She's on the screen.
Sarah. Say hi, Sarah.
Well, you're the only one who can, though, because it's actually I don't have that screen. I don't have that camera logged in.
Oh, you are no fun. What good is teasing Sarah and putting her on screen when she doesn't want to be if she's not on screen?
Okay. So, all right, I can't move that, but you come here. She's like, no. Sarah is probably aside of Julie.
All right.
is probably my oldest friend, not by age but by longevity. when it comes to in the world of, we'll call it the world of Tovia Singer. Because she's the first friend I ever met, the very first friend I ever met, her and her husband at the time, where they already knew about Tovia Singer before I found out about him. And that's why we stayed connected for so long. And she's very dear to our family, so I'm glad you're here. One of these days we'll have her co-hosting with us, like the same as usual. So very good.
Yeah, too bad you can't turn the camera and embarrass her.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Rabbi, keep talking. I would never do that without your permission, Rabbi.
Oh, come on. It's our show. Our show. That's plural. This is a conversation between you and me.
Too late. Look out. Look out. She's on, Rabbi.
Cheryl, while they're doing their thing, you are right. His name is a variant of Joshua. But most likely they spoke Aramaic. Okay. Joshua is Yehoshua. Okay, Aramaic is a dialect of Hebrew, and there are certain characteristics of dialects that their pronunciation isn't always exactly the same as the language they came from. So you have the word Yeshua, okay, but having an ayin on the end, people forget that the tongue is the laziest muscle in the human body. It's one of the strongest muscles. It's
right.
The only muscle that is only tied at one end, okay? But the structure of the mouth, okay, and the tongue is very lazy. So I can't think of an English equivalent right now, but instead of saying Yeshua, they would have said Yeshu. Instead of Yeshua or Yeshua, okay, they'd have dropped the guttural aspirant, I think it's called. I'll have to look it up again. I don't remember. Okay. And therefore, they'd have just said Yeshu. So even if they wrote it with an ayin, they wouldn't have pronounced the ayin in Aramaic, which means that that's the language of the day. And Jesus probably was never called Yeshua in his life. That's just grammatically and Hebraically wrong. And it bothers me sometimes when I see people who arrogantly think they know better Hebrew than the Jews who are created Hebrew, preserved Hebrew, spoke, wrote, read Hebrew, even in areas of the world that were totally illiterate.
Right.
Go get a copy of the Quran, the Muslim holy scriptures to the Muslim community. And on certain chapters or surahs, you're going to see 3 Hebrew letters at the top of each of the page that begins that chapter or surah. Okay, and people, what's Hebrew doing in the Quran? The answer is basically the Muslim community was illiterate, and the Jews living among them became their scribes, and the Hebrew scribes, for who knows what reason, I think I know the reason, but put Aleph, Bet, Mem on the top of certain surahs. And there is one explanation, which may not be the right explanation, that it means Ein Bo Mamash. There's nothing of substance in this. So a person who reads Hebrew, when they see Aleph, Bet, Mem, they know that it means Ein Bo Mamash. There's nothing of substance, and to basically disregard what you're reading. I'm not sure that's true. I don't know if that's true, but pick up a Quran and you'll see on certain surahs, first page, there are 3 Hebrew letters in it.
Okay, so I've got a couple follow-up questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
And so the first one, I'll give you 2 for starters. The first one is Jesus is mentioned in the writings of Josephus. However,
2 paragraphs.
It is believed that it was something, a later addition as a corruption of it.
There's 2 paragraphs. Let's call one paragraph A, and the other one we'll call obviously paragraph B.
Okay.
Paragraph B is later in the book than paragraph A. Okay, but paragraph B is probably a real written by Josephus himself. And basically it says, hey, there's this group of Christians who believe they have Jesus as their Messiah. Period.
And that's it. That's it. So paragraph A could be an insert from an extra.
No. Paragraph A is so clearly an insert. Josephus, in the second paragraph, which is probably the oldest,
wow.
Basically, he's talking the phenomenon of Christianity. Okay, he's not really talking about Jesus as such. He's talking about the phenomenon of the existence of a religion called Christianity. So he's describing them. And he says, they are people who followed Jesus, this man named Jesus. Okay, I don't remember the paragraph, but it tells a little bit about him.
It's kind of like, so I'm kind of envisioning this whole thing like there's a movie, like a Charleston Heston age type movie, like the Ten Commandments age, called Ben-Hur. Well, the Ben-Hur movie encapsulated that whole era, but the movie of Ben-Hur wasn't about Jesus, but it had an insert of this Jesus scene in the movie. Like it was like not really important, but it was like, oh, hey, look at this guy. What's up with that? And then he moved on to something else.
Exactly.
That's what it feels like.
But paragraph A, on the other hand,
okay,
is this dripping, sentimental, overly pious paragraph about Jesus that begins by saying something to the effect of, and then one day, Jesus, a man, if you can even call him a man, came to earth.
Wow, totally out of character for Josephus's writings.
Just anybody with any kind of brain,
right?
Okay, when they compare the two paragraphs, one, like you said, a character in the movie, and they're explaining it, and the other one, this dripping, overly sentimental. Jesus was a man, if you could even call him a man. Oh, please. It has to be added. Remember, look, people forget something.
Right.
Josephus was a traitor to the Jewish people.
Right, he was. He betrayed them, actually, right.
Everybody I would hope knows the story about Masada, that the Jews were surrounded by Rome. This is after the fall of the Second Temple. They're surrounded by the Roman legions. I mean, like, way outnumbered, ridiculously outnumbered. The Jews held out for like 3 years on this mountaintop.
Right.
Okay. And rather than give themselves up to the Romans, they killed themselves. Every single man, woman, and child was killed on the top of the mountain. And when the Romans finally came in, everybody was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Josephus was not at Masada, but somewhere else, was supposed to be the last person alive when everybody, like dads kill the mother and the children and then themselves, and then the last person alive kills himself because he had to kill.
But then he chickened out and decided he would become a valuable asset to the opposite team.
Exactly.
Being their scribe.
And even though Josephus tried to defend the Jewish people, and even though Josephus in his writings tried to make the Jewish people look like a hero to the Romans, he wasn't preserved by the Jews.
Right.
They didn't care about his writings. He was a traitor. Who then maintained the writings of Josephus? The early church?
Yeah, right, true.
Okay, why? Probably because one of them inserted this first paragraph A, into this, into one of the books of Josephus. So he became important to the Christian community.
Right.
Okay, but it wasn't the Jews who kept him around.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so we're leading off to the next follow-up question is.
By the way, the disputation. Okay, you can.
That was great, by the way. And pause real quick. If y'all have not seen the disputation, I would strongly recommend not just watching it, but actually going online. Go to Rabbi Singer's website because actually
Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Awesome. Okay, so outreachjudaism.org. You can find his resources there. He's got copies of the disputation for sale. You can buy them. It's an amazing video, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely need to watch it. So go there and buy it. It'll help support his mission and what he's doing in our world right now today. So, so following up with the I guess you could say the third part of what I had intended on was So we initially covered, was Jesus mentioned in the Talmud, and now we're discussing, was Jesus mentioned in the complete works of Josephus, all of his writings. He's only showed up like you're saying, paragraph A and paragraph B two times in the entire works, and one of them was brief, like, oh hey, that guy's got red hair, okay, and the next one was like this emotional,
basically
broken down, totally not connected at all.
Christianity, they follow Jesus as their
Right.
Messiah. It's telling who they are and what they believe in very small little portion, and then all of a sudden you compare it with this paragraph A, which is closer to the beginning, I believe, of this one work of Josephus, and it's ridiculous.
Right. Okay, so here is the third. Wait, before I go with the third, first I want to give a huge shout out. Larry Beck, brother, it is good to see you active and healthy. You had us all scared last week. Thank you for being.
Thank you.
Yes. And Andrea,
you notice I've minimally coughed tonight.
You have been great. I'm so excited because now we can kind of keep on rolling. So, and everybody watch out. The second weekend of September, I will be out of pocket. Remember that. And also in March. Just letting you know ahead of time. So, and also, there was one more thing I was going to say. Mr. Nape, good to see you. A couple of shout-outs. Juan. Mitzvah Golem, good to see you again. Janice Hart, I said that earlier. Muhammad Ali.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Cheryl Jung, I hope I said that right. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's really awesome. Okay, so moving on to number 3.
By the way, there's Cheryl, you may be interested that there's a new book out by me and names. Tabor.
James Tabor?
Thank you.
James, yeah, James
Tabor. It's all about Paul creating Christianity.
That's a new book?
Okay. Brand new.
Like really? I'm talking
how
this
cool. Week.
Wow, okay. Nice. Very nice.
James Tabor, and I don't know the name of it. I can't think of the name of it.
Okay, very good.
But it's about Paul creating Christianity, not Jesus.
Okay, so going back on the
chat. New, but I don't know.
Good to see.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to Larry Beck. Larry Beck says he's still in the hospital. He's watching right now with his mobile device. So you guys keep Larry in your hearts and thoughts, and you should.
Yeah, Larry, I want to discuss your what you sent me.
And hello.
I want to discuss that with you when you're healthy, or when you want to. So.
Constellation Pegasus. Good to see you too. Okay, good deal, Cheryl. All right, you guys. Moving on to point 3. Point 3 is this. So here's my thoughts. I'm going to use Austin, the big city in Texas we live in. If something happens and they decide, we're going to increase the speed limit or decrease the speed limit by 20 miles per hour, like let's say decrease, because then you have bigger violations involved. It's no longer 75 miles an hour on I-35. The maximum speed limit will be 55 everywhere. So for years, you've been driving 75 miles an hour, right? They're not just going to simply change those signs without broadcasting it on the news and other resources on outlets like newspapers, Time Magazine, right? So my question now would be, is regarding Jesus and because of all the claims made about him and all the dynamic miracles and all these thousands of people coming out of their graves and lives and people getting healed. To me, it seems like there would be other resources talking about this thing if it was actually happening. Was there anything outside of the writings of the New Testament, and Josephus, of course, that ever mentioned anything about Jesus?
Of course.
Really?
Yes, but it's but it's going back to what I said about Josephus or FB. I can mention the phenomenon of Christianity. I can mention that there are a group of people who believe in a Jesus, but that doesn't mean Jesus existed.
Right. It's like it's
to say that he wasn't mentioned is equally false. He's mentioned, but being mentioned doesn't prove his existence. It's like somebody from Spain doing a book on Paul Bunyan of north central the United States. Okay?
Right.
But does that mean that Paul Bunyan exists? No. They're writing a book about Paul Bunyan, okay, for the people of Spain. But it doesn't mean Paul Bunyan existed. You've got the same thing in literature outside of the New Testament. They are talking about the phenomenon of Christianity and what they believe and why, but they're not saying that this is proof he existed.
Right.
And it's really, what's the word? a little disingenuous to say that he didn't exist. I'm sorry, to say that he didn't show up in literature outside of the New Testament. He shows up, but not as a real being. They're reporting on him. They're talking about the phenomenon of Christianity.
Right.
Okay. You have writings about Christianity and Jesus in 1500 with Isaac ben Abraham of Troki in his book Chizuk Emunah, which is Faith Strengthened.
Right.
Which I thought I had here, but maybe it's in the synagogue.
I thought you were watching Voices Fly or something.
Very funny.
What the hell? That's fast. It does have to be
smart aleck. Okay.
Okay.
But the mentioning it, okay, talking about it as a phenomenon in 1543, that's after Jesus lived, but it doesn't mean that it's proof that Jesus existed.
Right.
They're responding to Christianity as a phenomenon. They are not historically saying, I was a witness and I knew Jesus.
I think another aspect could be, and you probably either will agree or correct me on this. It would be almost like now it's 2020. Let's say like right now I'm gonna write a letter and put it in an envelope, and I'm gonna put a different date on it. So it's 2020. I'm gonna say this is 1970 on the top of the letter, and I'm gonna say in 1976 Elvis Presley is going to die of a drug overdose, and I'm gonna seal the envelope, and I'm just gonna bury it in a time tunnel. What do you call those things where they dig a hole? Time capsule, right? And I buried it in there, and because I've got the wrong date on it, it looks like I prophesied this thing. Mm-hmm. But actually, I didn't prophesy it at all. I knew it was part of history, and I just put it in there to begin with. So it seems to me like from the beginning is that it's disingenuous altogether, even on the fact that it's almost like they knew that it wasn't really prophetic. They were just simply trying to create a faith-based organization so that people would be forced to believe in it. It's like throughout the New Testament, you hear the writer saying, I'm saying this to make you believe, or I'm doing this all happened to make you believe. Well, you don't need to be made to believe anything unless it really happened. That's kind of weird. So, anyway. Okay, moving on. Bigfoot is best.
Wait a minute.
Larry Back, yes. Michael, Arlen, good to see you. Jeffrey Johnson. What you looking for, boss?
Here we go. Book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 37. Okay, and it's probably the vicinity for the other one, too. Give me a second.
What's the point of Acts 5:37?
There it is. Okay, so let me find out who it was again. This was John Riggs, writes, how many false messiahs were there in Judaism? Offhand, I can think of about 14. Okay, not including Jesus as a false messiah, by the way. But if you take a look at the book of Acts of the Christian's New Testament, 2 of the false messiahs were mentioned, and they precede the existence of Jesus. This is Isaiah. This is book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 36. For before these days rose up Theodos, boasting himself to be somebody. That's New Testament code, because they can't say he's the Messiah, because they're only talking Jesus as the Messiah. Boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. After this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed.
Wow, I never saw that before. What the heck, dude?
These are insane. 2 false messiahs that precede Jesus. Dang. By the way, why is he saying that they perished? It's to show that they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And weren't the Messiah. Guess what? Jesus died without doing it also.
Right.
Okay, so here's 2. Jesus is 3. Take a look at Jacob Frank. Let's see. Shabbatai Svi.
Yeah.
Let's see. I always have trouble with names. Right, Bill? No, I'm sorry. That is your name. Right, George?
Okay.
So, I can't think of his name.
That's okay.
Whatever. At any rate, there's been at least 14 known. By the way, I mean with a following. They had a following of Jews who thought they were really following the real Messiah, going to do the real Messiah things in the world, absence of famine, universal recognition that God is God, the whole laundry list of things the Messiah is going to do, and didn't do it. Okay, some of them created a new religion because they couldn't admit that the person they thought was the Messiah wasn't the Messiah. Go take a look at a book called When Prophecy Fails.
Oh, yeah.
When Prophecy Fails. Lead researcher is Leon Festinger. Leon Festinger, head of the sociology department, I think. I can't remember. Or no, wait, I don't remember. Of University of Wisconsin, studying religious groups and how they responded when they had prophecy and how they responded when the prophecy they had did not come to pass. And every step of the way is very comparable to the creation of Christianity. Okay.
Right.
But let's see. Thank you. False Messiah. What about Bar Kokhba?
Oh, yeah, the Bar Kokhba
You had
revolt.
David Alroy,
right?
David Reuveni, Shabbatai Tzvi, Jacob Joseph Frank in the 1700s. So, there's as a matter of fact, do what I just did. Go to Wikipedia and look up list of Messiah claimants.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, right.
That was always a quick way to find it. Okay.
True.
Let's see. Go to myjewishlearning.com, which, I don't always like what they write, and look up false messiahs in Judaism. False messiahs in Judaism. No, I do not want your email address. Okay. False messiahs in Judaism. Let's see. Let's see. Well, it doesn't give it a list. At least I didn't see a list. But anyway, there's a few lists there, but there's a lot of them. Look, when do people want a Messiah? When the world gets so bad, they want to be, brought. They want to be brought out of the bad world they're living in. Okay, so they, hope for a better day. And when your hope is strong and somebody comes along and gives you that hope, you can get sucked into their cult. This is why cults work in the modern world, by the way.
Right, sure.
Okay, let's see. Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. Sorry. Babylonian Talmud is what we were discussing. Thank you, Jeffrey. You're right. We should never make assumptions. Let's see. I saw another interesting thing. Well, yeah, Mitzvah Golem, there are two. One was before Christianity existed, and the other one was like 100 years after Jesus was gone. So, let's see.
Okay. Oh, man. Okay, so a couple interesting points brought up on chat. Let me find that again.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. That's what I'm looking at, too, to see if there's something else.
Okay, we want to go back up a little bit. If I can get my mouse to hit there in the right place. Here we go. Why would people care if Jesus is in the Talmud when most believers in Jesus don't believe in the Talmud? Mr. Nape. That's a great question, dude.
That's a great... Who did that?
Mr. Nape. I hope I'm saying that right. You may have to phonetically type that for me if I'm messing that up. So that's a really good point, though. And the thing is, I think what happens is they don't even approach that idea of discussing or thinking about it unless they find someone with a higher education who brings up the fact that you can't prove Christianity using the Bible. So then they begin to try to learn the Talmud. And when they start learning the Talmud, they see it's in there, then they try to defend it using that. And that's usually just nothing more than damage control from what I've seen. So,
by the way, I saw Mr. Aniap, however you pronounce that, asking a question also. Now I lost it. Where'd it go?
Got a good question here. John Riggs. You called John Riggs out earlier. When Mashiach does come, will he have to prove his identity? And if so, will he have a certain amount of time to do so? You can generalize that if you want to. My thought is people in the Jewish world, like right now, like Rabbi Tovia Singer is a great example, right? So people accuse Judaism all the time of saying, well, you can't prove anything, but they know they keep records of this stuff. Rabbi Singer knows his genealogy all the way back as far as you could possibly go. So it's like when you're not in that world, you can't prove anything. But when you're in that world and you live in that, and that's your whole entire universe, it's very easy to access that information. But with that said, will Mashiach, when Mashiach comes, will he have to prove his identity to everyone? Who will he have to prove it to? How does that work?
Well, I think that he will be able to prove it without much difficulty. People have this belief that, the temple is where they kept genealogical records and it burned down and it was destroyed, so we no longer know who we are. Okay, we no longer have our own genealogical whatever in our printed in the front pages of our Bibles. Okay, that's not how the world works.
Right.
There really are people in the Hasidic community who quite literally can trace their lineage back to Adam and Eve.
Right. Because
once you go back to hit anybody in the Bible, pretty much you can see the genealogy all the way back from there. Another point that's interesting is that at least for the Kohanim, the priests of Judaism, the descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses, and the Kohanim and the Levites, okay, we know, good, that's a good one. I like that. Please help keep these shows free by donating to TanakTalk.com/donate. Please do so. Did you show everybody your come on, lean
Let's
forward.
Let's see. I don't think they can see the same thing.
You're no fun.
There we go. Actually, they can now. Here, I'll be still.
Okay. So
I've got black and white hats. Yes. If you want a black and white hat or black or white hat, just let me know.
Yeah. I think the black ones actually do look nicer.
They match the shirt I'm wearing better. It's kind of cool.
Well, yes, that's true.
That's cool.
Okay. So I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. I took a nap between them.
Two things that Mr. NIAP, I don't know what, asked about. I know this is really off topic, but does anyone know what happened to the Spiritual Babies channel? They haven't posted in a year, and I know there were fires and COVID. For a while, I lost touch with Jason, Spiritual Babies.
Right.
And I talked to him actually last week via Skype, and he got COVID.
He's better now, though. He's good.
He's better now, thank God.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
But it took him out, and he has other illnesses that probably made him very susceptible to the COVID virus, as far as that goes. And he really hasn't had a good year. But thank God he's better now and getting better every day. And I think he wants to start doing some videos with people. So we'll see what happens. And of course, Jason, Spiritual Babies, you are in our prayers. So, and then there was another thing that Mr. Eniap said. I got to find it. Yes, your last video was so good. Quick answers for missionaries. We'll be doing the second part 2. Wait a minute. So this one isn't that good?
Okay, Rabbi.
Just kidding.
Okay, Rabbi. There was a really great question that Sarah spotted.
What?
Sarah spotted this in chat.
Okay.
And so suicide is forbidden in Torah.
Absolutely.
It's murder. So how do you explain the suicides at Masada? They took their lives instead of submitting to idolatry.
Okay. There was a teacher that I had, okay, She came to teach. She was not at the school. Okay, but her name is Trudy Weiss Rosmarin. She wrote that one. I think I have. Ta-da! Okay. Let's see. I got to see how it appears if I'm holding it up correctly.
Yes, you drop it down just a tiny bit. Right there. It's good. Okay.
Okay. Judaism and Christianity, The Differences, by Trudy Weiss Rosmarin. At the bottom, you can see it. I will tell you frankly that my book, Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast, is kind of, very similar, based on this, sort of, kind of. I have my own way of doing things that she did not do. At any rate.
So now that you mention it, I must say, so my wife is a bookworm. I mean, I'm a TV guy. I like watching videos. I don't like to turn pages. But my wife, you could destroy every TV on this planet, and she would be perfectly fine as long as you don't get rid of the pages. She loves to read. She was totally amazed by Rabbi Singer's work. Rabbi Singer's work can be a little complex because he goes in so deep, and he really goes in like on a more aggressive level. I want to say that in a good way. The way you approached your book was such a well-rounded work that it was so easy for her to wrap her head around, and she's really getting really in depth into your book. Point being, Judaism and Christianity Contracts. If you guys don't have it, whatjewsbelieve.org. Go there. It's a really fancy. It's a small. It's not a big book. It's not a big encyclopedia. Easy read, and it's got packed full of amazing information. Rabbi, continue.
Well, thank you. You are kind. Trudy Weiss Rosmarin wrote an article for a scholarly periodical that basically ripped to shreds the mythology of Masada. That basically said it's an absolute myth that they committed suicide rather than, killed rather than give in to the Romans.
Seriously. So the whole thing about them, the whole mass suicide.
According to her article,
really,
giving, I think, very valid reasons. Okay, yes.
Wow.
Okay,
Impressive.
First of all, as someone pointed out, it's suicide. It's murder. So if I kill myself because I'm the last person, okay, but people killed their family, then some people killed them, and then some people killed them. And then the last person standing kills himself. It's a combination of murder and suicide. And suicide is murdering yourself. It's still murder.
Right.
And we know that that's against Jewish law. You can't get more against Jewish law than that. So Trudy Weiss Rosmarin in this article 30 years ago, 20, whatever it is, well, I'm old, 30 at least years ago, wrote that, first of all, it's against Jewish law. Second of all, do we really want that as a model? Third of all, the stories of Masada comes from Josephus.
Oh, all this? Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Okay. Take a look. Okay.
Well, there are some credibility wonders. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Massada. Oh, great.
What'd you find?
All I did was type in Masada, and the first thing I got was a messianic, Judaica shop.
That's funny.
Not really. Okay. There we go. According to Josephus, first thing, okay, according to Josephus, the siege of Masada by Roman troops from 73 to 74 Common Era, at the end of the First Jewish-Roman War, ended with the mass suicide of 960 rebels. Okay, it's Josephus that has this. I don't think it's found anywhere else. Who trusts Josephus? Okay, and remember, he is specifically writing for the purpose of trying to impress Rome with the Jews. And Rome would respect suicide rather than give in to slavery. So she wrote this article. But there was a period of time where when you went into the military in Israel, they would take you to Masada to be sworn in. And then there was a protest because they didn't want suicide to be like a role model for the Israeli military, the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. Okay. And they moved it somewhere else. I think since then they moved it back, but I don't know for sure. But there was a period of time where they moved it away from Masada, that the swearing in ceremony to go into the IDF. Okay. So I agree with you. I think the answer is it's totally wrong. It's totally murder. It's totally suicide. It's totally against Jewish law. But there are some scholars who doubt its truthfulness.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow. Paste. I'm putting something.
And do we really want Masada to be the role model? There were other suicides in Jewish law, in Jewish lore. Okay. There were the sons of Hannah. Hannah? You know me in names. I think it's the 7 sons of Hannah. Hannah? Sounds right. Basically, in the Maccabees rebellion, this was a woman with her 7 sons. Each son, from the very oldest to the very youngest, the Roman soldier, or maybe it was the Greek soldier, or maybe it was Antiochus himself. Depends on the story. I don't remember too well, or in detail, but basically they wanted the children to bow down to Zeus or to bow down to Antiochus himself. And of course, Jews don't bow down to anybody but God. We certainly don't bow down to a human.
Right.
So the first one, refuses, and he gets, burned alive. The second one refuses, and he gets his skin deflated off. And another one, each getting worse and worse. Finally, it comes down to the littlest child, okay? And the king or the soldier who's ever doing this basically drops something on the ground in hopes that the kid would be nice enough to pick it up for him. But in stooping down to pick it up, it would look like he was complying with the wishes of the soldier or Antiochus or whatever. And instead, if I remember the story correctly, he either says, I will not do anything to make it look like I am obeying you, or he kicks it away, or I don't remember what it is, but it didn't work. And even the youngest child is martyred, and then Hannah herself is killed.
Wow.
Okay, right. So we do have our martyrs. Okay, we do have people who, following God's commandments of, the 3 instances where it's better to have death. Enslavement is not one of them, like Masada. But the 3 instances where you allow yourself to be killed as opposed to complying with the demand. Idolatry, which is what they wanted these 7 sons of Hannah, I think it's Hannah, to do. Sexual, illicit sexual union, rape, incest, murder. Okay, hey, have sex with your, mother, or I'm going to kill you. You're supposed to say, kill me.
Right.
Okay. Idolatry, illicit sex, and idolatry. Why do I do that? I have a memory like a sieve. Nothing sticks. It just dwindles through. Idolatry, illicit sex. I can't remember the third one. Murder.
That's a good.
If I give you a gun and I say, you better kill somebody or I'm going to kill you, you're supposed to say, kill me.
Right.
Okay.
So the whole idea about the mass suicides.
Idolatry.
So the mass suicide. So basically the story of the mass suicides at Masada may very well have been inaccurate. Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
We don't know. Obviously, they were living up there. Obviously, they were surrounded by Rome.
Right.
Okay. It's like picture. What's that? Devil's Mountain. What's it called in Idaho or Montana or somewhere, or South Dakota or somewhere like that? It's just a mountain that rises up out of nowhere. Come on, it's in.
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Something of the third. Meet Martians. It's something of the third type.
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower.
Somebody, Constellation Pegasus actually mentioned that. So did Raymond Reef. He knows about it as well, and also Lori Cash.
Picture something like the.
She said it was in. Lori Cash said it's in Wyoming.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
There you go.
Devin.
Yeah,
I can always rely on Devin to finish my sentence.
That's
Thank
funny.
you, Devin. Okay, so picture something like that. So if they come off the mountain, they're going to be in a whole field of Roman soldiers.
Wow, that's insane.
Okay,
that's cool.
So we know they lived up there. We know they kept the Roman soldiers away for like 3 years or something. And so we know that part of the story is true. So be that as it may. Okay.
Wow. We thought this show was only going to last like 5 minutes. We're already at an hour, and we're like rolling, baby.
Oh, yeah, because we're not only on one topic.
We never are. We never are. That's funny.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, so let's see. Hello, VVV Elijah. Shalom. Trying to see if anybody. Oh, it's a Bagel King, dude. We got to meet. That's awesome, Muhammad Ali. I've seen you before. Okay, good deal.
I had a friend who made his own.
Okay, so. Lori Cash says, I was quite disappointed when I hiked around the tower and there was no secret military installation there. Are you serious that you went through the whole Devil's Tower thing? I would love to. So, Lori, look at Lori Cash. Dude, Lori's been like friends of ours for a long time. She's so awesome. But so you got to tell us more about that. That's cool. Okay, so. Wow, really? So Lori Cash, one of our viewers, Rabbi, has actually hiked around Devil's Tower.
Oh, that's cool.
That is very cool. I would love to see some photos of that.
I would love to just see it. I don't have to hike it because God knows I can't hike any. I can't walk from here to my car. Let this be a lesson to everybody listening. Stay in shape. Don't gain weight.
And don't smoke crack.
Healthy.
But welcome back. I said, but welcome back. Don't smoke crack.
Funny.
Hey, the doctor told me that I should watch my weight, so I put it in front of me where I could see it.
Yeah. I watch my weight. Very cute.
Just good. All right. Okay, so.
Huh? All right.
Oh, Majobri, you asked a question. The simple answer is, first of all, the question is, there are various passages in Tanakh that state that no one can die for your sins. Why? What do Christians say to counter this? And first of all, they don't say anything to counter it. They offer information that makes it look like it's new information. And the way they try to make it valid is they create a problem that doesn't actually exist in Tanakh, right? And so So if I create a problem and I say this is how you fix it, then you're going to have to kind of, that's the only information out there, so you're going to have to kind of follow it. But if you go back and find out there wasn't really a problem to begin with, then now their solution doesn't really have any basis. And that's kind of what's going on right now. All right, so what else we got here? Ann Chapman. Okay. Marianne, good to see you. Oh, that's okay. Stick around, Marianne. We're having fun here. Just a bunch of learning about some the ancient scripts of the Hebrew scriptures, and this is a good place for you to be. Good to see you.
Darn, I can't find it. All right, forget it.
Okay.
Try to look for something real quick. Don't have it.
That's all right. So, but I will say that we're actually over an hour now. So,
let's see.
Arjur Liana Tar, good to see you. Is that wow, go. Okay, nice. Let's see. Trying to follow comments. Look, if you guys have anything you want me to see on the
Constellation Pegasus talks about a giant bear trying to get people on the top of what created the ridges.
Rabbi?
What? I'm sorry. What?
Hang on one second. So if you guys are trying to, if y'all are talking amongst yourselves, that's fine. It's okay. If you're typing something in chat that you want me to see, you're going to have to put the @ symbol and put Tanakh Talk next to it, because then it will actually flag it with a big orange banner, and I'll be able to see it. If you don't do that, I'm gonna have to go back and read every single comment. But if you do that, then I can just go back and see anything flagged in orange, and I'll know that's for us. So,
is @Tanakh Talk one word?
Yeah, you don't want to put any spaces. I think it'll still work even if you do, but it's
Okay.
better just put @Tanakh Talk with no spaces at all. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. TENAK, just like you see on the.
Right. Raymond C., brother. Good to see you again.
Yep.
Wad White says, do you think that thank you, that was a perfect example. Do you think the concept of God in Islam is identical to Judaism? And the answer is no. I don't know. Now, Rabbi Federow, actually, the best person to ask that would be Rabbi Singer, because he was like the chief rabbi in Indonesia, in Jakarta, Indonesia. It's like one of the biggest Muslim.
Wait, who was?
Rabbi Singer. He was.
You said Singer.
Yeah, and so he was the chief rabbi in the largest Muslim country in the world, and so what we see in the United States with Muslims is all negative stuff, right? It's like so we don't really get anything on the news about the people who are Muslims who are actually good, but really, if you want to go somewhere to find out about what being a Muslim in Islam is, as far as the overall multitude, you got to go somewhere where you find the multitude and there's no violence, there's no hatred, just actual teachings, and that's what Rabbi Singer was actually experienced with, and he's done many shows on that, so he could probably answer that question better than anybody else. I'm just saying.
And my answer, okay, would be slightly different, I think. Okay, in terms of strict, absolute, one God, God is one, indivisible, absolutely. Islam is just as strict as Judaism.
Now you're talking about in regard to contrasting Trinitarian. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah, they're one God, one God.
I'm not even contrasting Trinity. I'm just talking about Jewish view of God, Muslim view of God. We are both absolute, strict monotheists. Period. The end.
Right, and that's thank you for clarifying that. But to further that, Rabbi Singer's mentioned, you actually have too, is that in regarding Judaism, a Jew can go into a mosque and pray, right, because there's no idolatry there.
Right.
A Jew cannot go into a church and pray. So on that regard, as far as them seeing God as one, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. On the other hand, I'm not sure that there are similarities in terms of character. Is that the right word? I think that the portrayal of
mitzvot, maybe?
No, because they have law, and they have college of laws of like we have halakha and we have rabbinical court. Very, very similar. The similarities between Islam and Judaism are far closer.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Far closer than anything between Judaism and Christianity. Christianity is just way out of.
Could not agree more. Like, I totally see that.
Not even the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But the character, I don't know if that's the right word, of God in Judaism, and the character, again, maybe not the right word, of God in Islam. I think the God of Islam, Allah, is much more militaristic and warlord type than in Judaism.
But now let's take that and just spin it a little way. So you have in Judaism, you have the Talmud, and you have the school of Hillel and the school of Shammai.
Right, and you've got the same kind of disagreeing
same
schools
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you got one that's very much more strict and more militia, and the other one is more like, let's kind of work with this sort of thing. Let's make this happen, and that's where you have it's kind of a division, but not really, because they did come to a conclusion on where they wanted to go. So I could see how maybe that could be a mild comparison to Islam in the sense of things. They're going more on the strict end of things. Like maybe a little overboard, possibly. I don't know. That was
Maybe.
that was a question. Okay, good deal. Holly Hilton, good to see you. I saw your post on Facebook. I haven't had time to respond to it. I hope everything in the household is good. Anyway, with the family, so good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a while on YouTube. So, Rabbi, we are far overdue. So I think we're going to wrap this thing up for tonight. And so
Okay.
I can, and we'll catch you guys again next week. And so if you have any more ideas for good topics, I saw one earlier, and I should have wrote it down, but I didn't.
Yeah, but I reserve the right to say I don't know the answer to that question. So.
Very good. That's okay, and neither do I. So I can neither confirm nor deny the accusation. There's a movie
What
that
was
does.
this?
There was a movie. I think it was some sort of a Marvel movie where I don't know what happened. I said I can neither
Did
confirm
you read
nor
about the
deny.
guy who played the Black Panther dying of colon cancer?
Yeah, that was very sad.
Sad.
Was that the same guy? Honestly, though, I'm curious. I wonder if that was the same. I know who the guy was. I can't remember anything else about it. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he played the.
Yeah, that's sad nonetheless. That's very
Yep.
sad. Yeah, I hate when people, especially at such a young age, So, okay, folks. Well, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great show. Rabbi, thank you for your time, and thank you all for being here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just clicked the wrong button. Sorry. I don't like talking when there's no faces involved. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on notifications. If you're not getting notifications, find me on Facebook. I usually try to put a post up about 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes before the show, so you know it's going to happen before it does happen. And share these videos with your friends and family. And please definitely do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. That really helps the viewer base. And also, when you comment on the videos, apparently that has something to do with the algorithms of YouTube, and it helps to recirculate them. So the more active you become, the more these videos will actually show up in search results as well. So I really appreciate you, Rabbi, for all your work and your dedication. I'm very thankful for you. And I can't wait to see you again in the studio.
When all this stupid COVID stuff
as
is
soon
over.
as possible.
Count
as soon as
on it.
possible. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Shalom, shalom, Rabbi. Shalom, you folks. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the other side. Peace out, everybody. Take care. Wait, we got to get you back in the screen. Finger dance on the last rap. There it is right there.
Too late, I'm done.
Nope. You got to bring it back up. It's on. There you go. All right. Peace out, everybody. Shalom, shalom.
חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. אני אתה אתם תמיד תמיד כולם ביחד. חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. לובשים בכל האופנים, זה טבעם של אנשים שונים. נזכור בסוף